Start. Sleep versus Maru. Dream versus Byung. First versus Jakji. Viva versus Flash. Innovation versus Hero. Dongnaegu versus Gumiho. Rain versus Songduri. Truth versus Kangho. Bomber versus Super. Yongha versus Zoo. Starts now. WCS Korea Season 3 GSL.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Code S here with Tasteless and Wolf. Wolf subbing in here for Artosis. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great. I'm really excited to be cast in the final day of the round of 32 here at Code S.
What is our Archon name? Is this like Wolfless or wolf without taste buds? Or
it can't be Wolfless because then I wouldn't be here. So
that's true, actually.
And
Tastosis doesn't really mean anything, but it's a lot easier to make some kind of merger name for that.
Yeah, so. Tastolf just doesn't really round off the
right. Not exactly. So thank you so much for coming here today, Wolf.
It's a pleasure.
I don't think I've casted you for a while, right?
A few months, I feel, maybe. I don't think I've ever casted
I want to say it's been like 9 months or something. It was not in the new studio.
Yeah, definitely not in the new studio. It's been a long time.
So this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yep.
We're back here with Code S. This is the final day of the round of 32. And so far, this season has been amazing.
Exactly. I mean, we are going to find out the final players to be going to the round of 16 group start tomorrow. And so it all comes down to this. A lot of people really looking forward to this group because Bomber is in it. Bomber, a player who's really hyped right now because he was the winner of the last WCS Grand Final.
And, you know, he broke this curse. One of these curses, for instance, that we haven't seen Symbol yet overcome. Bomber was somebody we kept saying for years now that this guy is going to be a champion. He's the guy. He's going to be the guy, basically.
Yeah.
And he never quite managed to get to that number one rank.
Right.
And he finally did it, and now he's here in Code S. This is the most prestigious tournament in the world. And
he
let's see if
the
he can
curse.
win this.
Yeah, he broke the curse.
Yeah.
He wants to go and do it again. There was a joke floating around the internet, the Bomber curse. He's always going to disappoint. And last season,
he's always going to bomb out.
Yeah. And maybe this could be a season to win Code S for the first time.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. We've had some amazing games so far in this season. I think my favorite best of three would have to be Innovation versus DRG. Hands down for a best of three TVZ. I think the best one I've ever cast.
I mean, you look at those two characters alone, and you know you're going to have an epic match. DRG is somebody who's kind of fallen off when it comes to skill compared to what he once was. Now he's playing against the best player in the world, and he's like, making him look good.
I feel like DRG is kind of like a marker in Zerg history.
Yeah.
Well, here's the era where if you played like DRG, you were the best. I mean, everybody was copying that. There was a DRG layer-heavy style. And then he fell off the wagon a little bit.
Yeah.
He wasn't like a Nest T or somebody where, oh, my God, he's in the GSL finals again. Yeah. He keeps winning. Nobody can stop this guy. But then he played the best I've ever seen him play. I mean, Innovation was playing perfectly.
Yeah. I mean, he's considered
and DRG still killed him.
He's considered to be the best player in the world, and DRG killed him, made it, he looked good in that series, and I think everybody knows from that moment on that DRG is quote-unquote back as a top player in Code S. So look forward to him in the future.
Yeah. It is because it's not like the last season we did here, which was a Star League. These are all best of threes today.
Yeah.
If you haven't been following or just now getting used to this GSL Code S, which I think is much better. Just to have the best of threes.
Yeah, it's much better.
In general, it's
a better story of all the groups played together with best of threes.
I mean, honestly, it's more fair.
Yeah.
You
don't get cheesed out on a bad map.
You know what was funny about when we did the best of ones is that there was almost no cheese.
That was the weirdest part about it.
You discover that. I mean, it makes sense when you got somebody who's played for 2 weeks straight just to prepare for this match. They might as well try to bring their best possible game. But with best of threes, there's a lot more potential drama, a lot more different kinds of builds.
Yeah,
now,
for sure.
Today, we're going to be going on to these matches here, these four players. Bomber starting out against Super, and then Younghwa against Su.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty exciting. Bomber versus Super, probably one of the most anticipated matches of the day. just simply because Bomber has so much hype surrounding him, and Super somebody who's really risen up through the rounds, and it's a lot of people are surprised he's even in Codes at all. And you can look at a little bit here of their stats, and Bomber is just such a talented player. He's been around since the beginning. He was a StarCraft 1 player, transitioned well into StarCraft 2 from the beginning. And Super's one of the newer ones. He used to be known as Vampire, and he's really made a name for himself just recently.
Yeah, he's finally here in Codes. And you know what I love about this? We've got the new with the old.
Exactly.
Today, and that's what makes this all so exciting. Now, with Bomber and Super here, I got to say, I don't know if Super can get out of this group. I think that's a tall order. And he's a very good player, but with Bomber playing as well as he's been playing, in what felt like the parallel universe cast I had, where I'm like, is he really going to win this? Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
I feel like Super really has to play some creative strategies. He can't play straight up, not against Bomber. He needs to have some different builds planned, maybe an Immortal Bust in one of the games, something like that that would catch Bomber off guard.
Well, Bomber's somebody who's so solid when you get into the late game. He's a machine and cranking out an army. It reminds me a lot of Flash, where you just see an endless stream of units as he's pushing, for instance, in a TVZ.
He feels like a robot kind of sometimes, and if he messes with your build in any way and you're not optimal, his robotic timing or his late game that's just an endless torrent of units, like you said, is just going to overwhelm you. You have to play basically perfectly against him or kill him early. You can't let Bomber do his thing.
Now, another thing to note, though, historically, Bomber was the guy who would intentionally nuke himself, who would land a lot of mules and occasionally then lose the game.
Yeah, he gets overconfident.
He's chilled out a little bit since then. And is really on fire now. Now, Super knows, for tempo's sake, it's so important he wins his first match, so he doesn't go down to the losers, because it's going to be very tough to get out of this from there. Here are the stats that we've raked together from all our Korean esports journalists. These are the rankings collectively they've given to each of these players. And as you can see, Bomber ranking higher on every stat here.
Exactly. That's one of the biggest things to notice, considering the Korean journalist's point of view. Bomber is by far the better player in almost every regard. He's more popular. He's better at cheesing. He's got the better strategies, by their feelings.
Yeah.
So, that just gives you the general sentiment of Korean fans, Korean journalists. That's how they feel. That's why most people are expecting Bomber to take a pretty thorough win here.
Now, going into this, I got to ask myself, what exactly does Super have planned? This is a very diverse group.
Yeah, he's got to really have a lot of different builds planned. And like I said before, I expect to see some aggressive timings, because playing late game against Bomber, especially on a map like Whirlwind, not going to be easy.
Probably not going to be easy. And you got to keep in mind, this is a group where we have all three races in with two Protosses. So that also makes it tricky for preparation here. Which matchups is Super going to play, and how many times do they have to play that matchup?
Exactly.
Well, it looks like our game is now loading up. I'm Tasteless. With me is Wolf, and this is Group H, the final day here of the round of 32 in the in the round of 32 here at the GSL Codes. We're going to have Bomber going on up against Super here. The winner will go, of course, go into the winner's match. The loser has one more shot before he gets knocked out here. All right, looks like we're ready. Let's do this.
I'm excited by the way my heart is beating. I'm gonna need a riot force to help control my breathing. Communicating with faith.
Am I introing the players? You want me to do it?
Do it.
Over here in the bottom left, a champion. He is
Startail Bomber.
Star of Startail.
Yeah, well said. And his Protoss opponent, the rookie here in Codes. He is
MVP Super.
Formerly known as Vampire. He was so close to Codes so many times in the up and downs. I cast so many of his games. And he's finally done it. He's here. And he wants to advance out. Doesn't want to go back to Code.
Well, this is a big moment in his career. I'm talking, he's got like that Eminem song playing,
exactly.
One shot, knees weak, arms steady, something, mom spaghetti. I don't know the lyrics exactly.
Yeah. I don't even think he has spaghetti from his mom.
Oh, welcome to the studio. Got some foreigners coming down here.
Thank you for coming.
By the way, guys, entry to the studio is free.
Yeah, definitely come down. We've got English headsets. You can listen to us talk.
Entry to the studio is $50. Leave it on the caster desk. And, yeah.
You can also give it to me personally.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that you get a seat.
Okay, so we have a quick command center here from Bomber. With Super, he is teching. We really have no idea what Super has in store. We have to wait for the Cybernetics core to finish up. We have to see when he does make that Nexus. It's become pretty common to just get the Cybernetics core and then a Nexus right after that.
Yeah, oftentimes players are skipping the Zealot. Once they scout the CC first, skip the Zealot and the Stalker, get the Nexus, the Mothership core. Sometimes you can see players pull out of gas entirely just to get the Nexus up faster. With a Zealot here, he can actually try to scout and deny the command center, but since this is a 4-player map, it's kind of luck-based whether or not it's going to happen. He does guess correctly, though, with sending the Zealot to the left.
By the way, special thanks to our sponsors at JOGUNSHOP. See the URL below. Check them out. Buy their stuff. They support esports.
They do. Some good clothes there.
Yeah.
Check the site out, actually, when I heard they were a sponsor. And the Mothership core is actually going to rally over and do a little bit of harassment. The question is, does Bomber make a third barracks after the orbitals, or does he take gas and go for a faster tech?
I would say taking gas probably going to be better.
Most players these days, I feel there's a slight trend to going for that third barracks, then getting the factory, then the eBay, and getting stim very quickly, and the +1, putting some pressure on. We saw this earlier today in GSTL, and we'll see if that's what he's got planned. He hasn't taken the gases yet. And the Mothership core is going to scout it.
You may, in fact, be right. It looks like he might be stocking up here to get another barracks. And, yeah, the Mothership just going to push out a little bit. Ideally try to damage any scouting SCV. Now, we didn't have any scouting here.
Yeah, from either of them.
Yeah, from either of them. So what that tells us is that they feel their builds are well-rounded enough and much more focused on mid-game and late game that it's worth it to get rid of the scout. And they're safe enough without scouting that pretty much whatever the other player throws at them, they should be able to handle.
Yeah. And Bomber's actually taking a third command center right now, so he's really buffering himself up to get a lot of Marines out and just get that extra mule, get those extra SCVs to get the mid-game solid. He's got to be careful with this Stalker. Does not want to walk into a trap. That was scary.
Maybe scouting Stalker. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is, okay, Protoss getting that Robo Bay up and now getting an Observer. The Protoss doesn't know what the Terran's doing. There's some build ambiguity here for what Super knows about Bomber. Bomber could have gone for the quick gas, like we said. He could have gone, like you said, I almost called you Ortosis. I'm sorry, Wolf. He could have gone for the quick third barracks. In this case, he went for that quick third command center. But until that Observer gets there, he doesn't know, and that's one of the problems that Protoss, the burden, I guess you could say, that Protoss has to face is, you know, Protoss might be going in the wrong direction here as far as his build goes, and won't find out until he's able to get that scouting in there. And part of this is due to the fact that Super elected not to scout at all early on here.
Yeah, and sometimes in a 4-player map, a lot of Protosses will do that to get a few extra minerals because they might scout wrong and it might not matter. But now the Observer's going to see everything. He sees the third CC morphing. Yep. That's all he needs to know.
That's
he walks
all
away
he needs to know. It's so smart, too, because you see a lot of these Protosses, they'll go all the way through the main and then try to sneak through the back. And you don't need to do that. And good Terran players actually have it timed out right now. You see right around the 720 marker here. They'll say, well, the Observer should be in here. They'll be looking for that blur. They'll send their Marines over that, scan it, kill it. And one thing Protoss can't really afford is to lose the Observer early on because all the critical units come out of the robotics facility early on, the Colossus, the Immortal.
Yeah.
Well, the Observer, obviously, Warp Prism. And to lose any of those units is a problem because it really can mess with the balance.
Yeah.
And, you know, Protoss is a race that requires an incredible amount of unit balance in order to play it properly. That's why when we see them lose the sentries early on, we're all saying, oh, God, this could be it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, that gas balance is so hard to really maintain the build times you lose when that's killed. So a few extra barracks going down here for Bomber. And a very fast third base here from Super, but he has the stalkers at the front of the base, knowing that he didn't go for a Reaper, so he doesn't have that scouting information.
Yeah.
He's not leaving his base with his Marine, so there's no way for him to find out about my third Nexus. And I know he's Marine heavy because I scouted with my Observer, so my Colossi should make this third base relatively safe, even if he does see it. So I like Super's choice here. Protects the probes here for just a second, make sure there's no Marines to see them transfer, and lets the probes go.
There's a perfectly timed transfer, by the way.
Yeah, beautiful.
The starport now going to connect over here. And once he starts to get the first 2 medevacs out, this is really where Terran has the muscle to move out on the map. Because, with the combination of Stim, which, by the way, is about to finish, and the medevacs, he can move out on the map. He can Stim run in and engage and be healed. And if he doesn't feel the situation safe, he can pick up boost and get out. And that's really where Protoss now is put into a defensive position.
Exactly, and that's what these Colossi are for. He is getting range. He's getting the +1 attack right now, which will put him at 1-1. Bomber already has his second eBay in his armory, so he will continue those upgrades very soon. I like Super's position a lot just simply because he has this defense already prepared.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Oh, wow.
What?
Stim's
Oh,
in.
no.
Colossus finally takes him out. But, Bomber is so Marine heavy right now that the Colossi become just that much more valuable because the less Marauders you have, the more power the Colossus really gives you to defend against these aggressive pushes.
Yeah, well said. Well said. So right now, I don't believe any player can really attack into the other one. But they are, Terran, for instance, did expand to the location closer to Super. So Bomber's going to have a lot of pushing power here. Now, this is what we call the gateway explosion. This is where finally that third base is running. I feel like Star Wars called it the fully operational battle station. So he gets a bunch of gates up, and then he can actually have the power to crank out units, and we're seeing the same thing here with the Terran, the barracks explosion as well.
It's basically what we call powering up, and you get all those structures ready.
Yeah.
And with all the gateways he's added, he could start to be a little bit aggressive, but most likely he's just going to sit back and start to get his second forge up, as you can see, and eventually get that Templar Archives, because he is going to want Storm, because Bomber's going to start doing drops everywhere. He needs to have those Templar for feedbacks, he needs to have Storms ready to defend his bases, and taking a 4th base is not going to be something he does right now, because Bomber is way ahead in Army Supply, 87 to 55 right now. And it's just because he hasn't spent as much money on tech. He's down on upgrades. He's trying to get his Vikings out. He's trying to tech up to Ghost Academy. So he's got a bigger army, but he can't use that directly. He needs to use drops.
Nice. I'm sorry. Did he just get that Observer? You check on the preview PC.
I do think he did. Yes.
Yeah, he did. Okay. Oh no, he did not. Okay.
Actually.
Oh no, I think I saw what happened. They actually just turned on. Yeah, just Terran vision. Okay. So the Observer is there. Now, I don't know if he's going to notice that little blip, but for the time being, both these guys are pretty neck and neck. A lot of this will just come down to how they engage, the angling, and everything like that.
Yeah. And again, the tech. There's still no Storm. He's really relying on those Colossi. He's going up to a 5th Colossus right now, charge in 2-2. He's going to have the better upgrades. Viking count now up to about 8. So Bomber's not in the best position here when it comes to engaging this army. He's going to have to rely on good micro-positioning, like you said, with those Vikings specifically is so key here.
Now, sometimes you can bring the Stalkers up here and try to get a few snipes off and then blink away.
Oh, wow, he's getting a lot with this, actually.
Ideally, what you want to try to get is the medevacs, because there's a real balancing act here for the Terran with medevacs versus Vikings. Okay, this is the timing.
Here he goes.
Now, you mind checking on the preview PC? He doesn't have any Storm, right?
He does not have Storm.
All right, so this is actually timed out to attack in here at this critical moment. He's taking out the 5th Colossus. 4 more still left.
There's just way too much DPS here, and the Frost Army's just going to win this. The SCVs are way too late, and all the Marines vaporized here. And that's
I gotta say, I'm really surprised there by Bomber that he did not wait for the SCVs to get with the army.
Exactly. And the problem, too, is that 2-2 just finished for Super, so he had that on his side. And I feel like Bomber really vastly underestimated how many Colossi were in the army.
Above all, the SCV pool, the SCVs are actually there to soak up the damage. And we see, once again, the SCVs at the top here. GG. Bomber, again, let's talk about that last game there, guys. That a battle, nothing went right there for Bomber. Bomber, and it's his fault, too. He did not have the SCVs with the army. He actually had the SCVs behind. The point of pulling the
soak the
SCVs.
damage.
Yeah, they sponge up the damage. I mean, they'll end up dying off, but in that amount of time, the Stim Marines and Marauders have melted all the Zealots, are now killing the Stalkers and Sentries, and it's just enough that it breaks the Protoss army. But he didn't even execute the attack right.
I feel like
I mean, Bomber knows that too. I mean, we saw SCVs even in that last part behind the army.
Yeah, I feel like the best way to describe the attack was like haphazard. He just kind of came in swinging. He didn't have his SCVs with him. I feel like he expected there to be less Colossi. He was hoping that the Storm transition was happening, but it wasn't. We didn't have Storm, so we had so many Colossi that he just wore that very Marine-heavy army down. And I think Bomber just wasn't as aware of the composition of his opponent as he should have. Obviously, the SCVs was a big problem too. Why were those not with his army? That's the whole point of pulling them. It looks like a desperation attempt there, like he needed to do it at that moment or something.
We've seen that there's this timing where they'll get the SCVs and hit the Protoss when the Psystorm has just now started to upgrade.
Yeah.
And then the Protoss is investing in a tech that hasn't paid for itself yet. But, I mean, I don't know. That was just a weird game. All right, well, going into game number 2, which is actually already loaded up. Let's see if Bomber can turn this around or Super is going to win this in an upset.